Ted Bundy hid behind charm. Jeffrey Dahmer hid behind something far more ordinary. A quiet apartment in Milwaukee, a steady job at a chocolate factory, a polite, soft-spoken manner that made his neighbors feel completely at ease. And while those neighbors complained about the smell coming from apartment 213 and accepted his explanation that his refrigerator had broken down, 17 young men were losing their lives inside. And what investigators found when they finally opened that door on July 22nd, 1991 changed every single person who walked inside permanently. They found Polaroid photographs on the walls, a blue 57-gallon barrel in the corner, a refrigerator that one detective opened, immediately closed, and walked outside without saying a single word, skulls preserved on a shelf, the remains of 11 human beings inside a single apartment where families lived on every floor. His neighbors had been complaining about the smell for years and accepting his explanation because he was so quiet and so ordinary, that believing him was easier than facing what that smell actually was. 17 young men entered apartment 213 and never came out. Episode 2 coming next. Most people start this story at apartment 213. The real story starts in a quiet Ohio suburb where a boy was forgotten. Jeffrey Dahmer grew up in Bath Township, Ohio. His parents fought constantly. His mother suffered from severe mental illness. His father was consumed by work, and for long stretches of his childhood, Jeffrey was simply left alone with too much silence and too much time. He started collecting roadkill, stripping flesh from bones, dissolving remains in acid from his father's chemistry supplies, studying what was inside dead things, and nobody noticed because nobody was paying attention. By the time he was 18, his parents divorced and left him alone in the family home for weeks. During that time, a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks made the mistake of accepting a ride from him. Dahmer brought him home, they drank together, and when Hicks tried to leave, Dahmer struck him with a barbell, strangled him, dismembered the body, and scattered the remains in the woods behind the house. He was 18 years old. Then he went 9 years without killing again. 9 years of functioning, working, living among people who had no idea. Until 1987, when the door to apartment 213 opened for the first time. Episode 3 coming next. Jeffrey Dahmer did not choose his victims randomly. He selected them with the same cold patience he had used as a child studying dead things in his garage. Young men from vulnerable backgrounds. Men who existed between things, between jobs, between places to be. And he found them at bars and bus stops and offered them money for company. And they followed him through the door of apartment 213 without hesitation, because he had spent years perfecting the ability to seem like exactly the kind of person you had nothing to fear from. And once inside, he drugged their drinks, and as everything that made them themselves slowly dissolved, he went to work. He dismembered them. He experimented on them, attempting to create what he called living companions who would never leave. He consumed parts of them. He kept skulls on a shelf and body parts in his refrigerator beside his food. He took Polaroid photographs of every stage because he wanted to remember, and the investigators who processed that apartment said the photographs were the worst part, not because of what they showed, but because of what they proved. That Jeffrey Dahmer was not acting out of rage. He was acting out of loneliness, a need to keep people close that he had twisted into something that has no name. Episode 4 coming next. On the night of July 22nd, 1991, Tracy Edwards ran out of apartment 213 with a handcuff dangling from his wrist. What happened next should have ended everything. It almost didn't. Tracy Edwards had been lured to the apartment the same way everyone else had been, but something kept him alert, and when Jeffrey Dahmer became distracted, he ran for the door, made it to the street, flagged down a police car, and told the officers everything. The handcuff on his wrist, the smell, the photographs on the walls. And the two officers walked him back to apartment 213 and knocked on the door, and Jeffrey Dahmer answered, calm and polite and completely unbothered, and told them it was a misunderstanding between friends, and the officers believed him. They did not enter the apartment. They did not check the bedroom where a victim's body was already present. They did not run his name, which would have shown he was a registered sex offender on probation. They left. Jeffrey Dahmer closed the door. And it was only when those same officers responded to another call from the same building later that night that everything finally unraveled. Episode 5 coming next. When those two officers went back to the Oxford apartments later that night, they were not expecting to find anything. What they found instead became one of the most disturbing crime scene discoveries in American history. Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested without resistance, calm and cooperative as always. And when investigators entered apartment 213, they found Polaroid photographs covering the walls, a blue 57-gallon barrel in the corner, skulls on a shelf, body parts in the refrigerator, the remains of 11 human beings inside a single apartment. And when detectives sat across from Dahmer in the interrogation room, he did not deny a single thing. He confessed to everything, all 17 murders, every detail with the same clinical calm he had used to commit them. No rage, no remorse, no breakdown, just a quiet, methodical account of everything he had done. At trial he pleaded guilty, but argued insanity. The jury did not believe him. He was convicted of 15 counts of murder and sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms. And Jeffrey Dahmer never made it to the end of those sentences. Because 2 years into his imprisonment, something happened inside that prison that nobody saw coming. And the man who had survived 17 murders did not survive what came next. Episode 6 coming next. Jeffrey Dahmer survived 17 murders. He did not survive Christopher Scarver. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was assigned to cleaning duty in the prison gymnasium alongside a fellow inmate named Christopher Scarver. And while the guards were briefly out of sight, Scarver picked up a metal weight bar and beat Dahmer so severely that he died less than an hour later. He was 34 years old and had served just 2 years of 15 consecutive life sentences. And when the news broke, there were no vigils, no mourning. The families of his 17 victims felt relief. Christopher Scarver, when asked why he did it, said Dahmer showed no remorse and somebody had to stop him. And the legacy Dahmer left behind permanently changed how America investigates missing persons cases, because the majority of his victims were Black and Asian men whose disappearances had not been taken seriously. And that is the most disturbing truth of this entire story. Not the apartment, not the confession, but the years of warnings that went completely unheard. This has been the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Velum Case. Follow for the next case nobody talks about.